Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade. So Tim Kingsbury, just telling you, an enormous fan of your mother band, a little known band called Arcade Fire, and the success you've had is absolutely incredible. You decide to go and do a solo album in your spare time.
Yep.
Not enough music built up in you. Like, what happens here?
Actually, I think there may be too much music built
That's
up.
what I
Yeah,
mean. It's
yeah.
crazy.
So, yeah. Yeah. It was kind of a long time coming, and I've been just kind of had lots of ideas over a long time, and the time was just kind of right to dive in and do it.
Where does Sam Patch come from? The name that you go under?
Well, it's funny actually. He's from New Jersey. He was an old. This is the guy that the original Sam Patch was this daredevil. He was kind of a precursor to Jackass, like in the early 1800s, and he used to jump off waterfalls. And as a character, he was just kind of fascinating to me. My friend sent me a bit about him, and so I kind of poached his name for the project. Also, a patch on a synthesizer is a setting on a synthesizer, so just kind of made sense in my mind.
When you have the type of success that you guys have had, is there a pressure when you do a solo album, or is it more of a liberating experience? Like, hey, I don't have to do a number one album like what we always do. Like, what goes through your head as you're putting this album out?
I really kind of approached this record more trying to get away. Like, there's no way it was going to compete with an Arcade Fire record, or like, I really wasn't shooting to have like a commercially huge record or whatever. It was literally more just about the music. Like, I was just kind of wanting to explore a bunch of ideas that had been kind of here for a long time, and it was a good opportunity to kind of just dive in and try my hand at a bunch of different things I hadn't done, some production and writing and singing more, which I love. So yeah, like if I compared myself, if I was like trying to be a number one star, I would go crazy. I couldn't, it's not my motivation.
Is there a deliberate thought to keep your sound different from what you do with Arcade Fire, or is it okay to have tread over between the two?
I think there's certainly some tread over, and I think it's partly because I'm in Arcade Fire. It's like just kind of naturally there. But I wasn't, on this project, I sort of was trying not to edit myself too much in a way. Like it's very easy to kind of get very over aware of what you're doing, and then you kind of can lose some of the creative spark. So I was sort of allowing myself to kind of follow indulgences here and there. I mean, I certainly wasn't trying to sound like Arcade Fire at all, but like I'd be following. I might hear a part and be like, this sounds kind of like Fleetwood Mac or something, and just embrace it rather than being like, I don't want to sound too much like Fleetwood Mac.
How does a group of kids from Canada end up becoming one of the arguably biggest bands in the world?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, actually, a couple of the guys are from America, so it's good. I think it was partly that. Actually, it's just a kind of a gang of kids that all got together that weren't necessarily, it just kind of was lucky that we all got together and kind of met up, and it was a good fit.
Does the success of what has happened with the band, does it still blow your mind to see how much people adore this band? You're able to sell out stadiums and arenas and just everything you guys have been able to do?
It's definitely very exciting to me. Like I can't really quite think about it like that. Like, for me it's kind of, it's a little surreal that we can play play a show and thousands of people will come to it or whatever. I hadn't. It's every time we're doing it, I always feel like it's kind of
You're like, what the heck is happening here?
Yeah, for sure.
Why are you guys here?
For sure. Yeah, it's a huge blessing. Yeah.
When you look at other bands, other musicians in the past, you had talked about Fleetwood Mac earlier. Who have influenced you personally? Who are the people that you look up to? Whose sounds have you tried to take a little bit from?
Yeah, I mean, the list is probably infinite. But like on my record, when I was, there was definitely bands that kind of kept popping into my head, or not even bands, but like classical composers or whoever that would just pop into my head. And I guess I can just list some, but like, I mean, everyone from like, Fleetwood Mac to like to like AC/DC or like, you know, like Kendrick Lamar or like, you know, just like random kind of like Holst, you know, like kind of all sorts of things were in my mind.
I
you know?
love that you threw Kendrick Lamar in there of all people. It's not like Aerosmith's like Kendrick Lamar.
Well, you know, his record came out, and it was his last record. You know, I was a huge fan of it. Still am a huge fan of it. But you know, it certainly was in my mind at certain parts when I was working on the record. You know, I mean, I wasn't like lifting. It was just more just energetically. I was just like, this is, you know, he's an amazing artist, and his band was so amazing too.
What you probably experienced so many insane things, from playing SNL to, again, selling out arenas around the world. What's been one or two of your coolest experiences so far?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think, I mean, you know, I mean, early on when we came to New York City and played, we played at Irving Plaza, and David Byrne came, and we played Naive Melody with them, the Talking Heads song. And for me, that was like, you know, huge, because the Talking Heads were one of my favorite bands from when I was like 14 on. So that was a huge one for me. And I don't know what else. I mean, all that stuff, like, you know, like winning the Grammy or all that kind of stuff was just so kind of not on my radar. Like, I never anticipated that. So it kind of the whole time I was there, I was like, what's going on? This is, you know, like, this is crazy. But it's been very exciting and fun for sure.
What do you think about music in general right now? What we're seeing both on the rock side, on the rap side. Where do you think it's moving? Do you like where it's moving right now?
It's interesting. I mean, you know, it's funny commercially what's going on, because I think in some ways it's like there are more bands, more acts than ever, which is a good thing. I mean, people are playing music, which is great. And it's interesting too how like, you know, computers and how, you know, everyone can make a record now on their laptop, you know, which is kind of an amazing thing. So it's kind of that combined with, it's also like, because there's so much out there, it's kind of hard to make a living at it, I think, for people, or it's hard to kind of, you know, I think what is exciting is there are a lot of people making really good music right now. You know, there's a lot of people like really pouring their heart into what they're doing, and you're kind of seeing you're hearing a lot of voices and seeing a lot of people putting stuff out that you know, they might not have been able to put it out 20 years ago or 40 years ago, because they wouldn't have had the technological means to do it. And now it's all a lot more available to everybody.
I have a friend who's a professional musician, and I always ask him, is this person really good? Is this person really good? And he'll be like, well, she can't sing, or he's not a good guitar player. The one thing that really struck me is he said that all in all, he feels that people are worse musicians today than they were 20, 30 years ago. So it's interesting when you talk about how people are using technology to essentially bolster their albums and make music.
Right.
You guys are really good musicians. I listen to your music. Does it sometimes bother you that people may not have the talent level that a group like an Arcade Fire does and still succeed? Like, it would bother me if I see a host who can't ask a question and put a sentence together,
right,
but is hosting the Emmys. You know, that would be bizarre to me.
Right. I think that it's kind of interesting. I mean, I think that, you know, there might not be too many Eddie Van Halens around right now, but I feel like there are kids who are like masters of, like, you know, working in a digital interface. You know, it's like you know, like playing the guitar probably just isn't as important as it was 40 years ago, you know, in a way. Like, I feel like things are constantly evolving, you know, like there were no rock bands in the 1800s, you know, like so everything just keeps evolving. So it's kind of important, I think, to keep in mind that things never stay the same.
How do you stay humble as fame and success hit, especially in music? He's like, I'm not staying humble. No, you seem like a super humble dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really take it for granted that I'm doing this. Like, it, you know, I don't, you know, even to hear myself called a celebrity, I don't feel like a celebrity. I don't think I live much like a celebrity. So it's kind of, I mean, there is certainly attention on me, you know, when I play a show or whatever, or obviously I'm sitting here doing this. So,
you're on TV.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think it's just in my brain. There's I can't quite connect with it on that level. So it kind of, maybe that's what keeps me humble.
You guys have a European tour, a new album on the way. What's everybody getting with the next Arcade Fire album? Because we already talked about your album, but what are they getting with the group album?
It's still remains to be seen. I'm not quite ready to talk specifically about it, but it's an evolution from where we were for sure. We're like, what can I say? Yeah, it's a good. I mean, we're playing really well on it. I'm really proud of it. Actually, it's some of the performances on it I think are the best that we've done, and it's it's been a fun process, an interesting process making this record. So I'm really excited to share it.
How have you changed it as a musician from the beginning?
Well, touring a lot and playing with the band. I think I'm a much better musician. Like, it's kind of the best way to, and for some reason too, when you're performing in front of people, I feel like it's like, you could practice for 40 hours or you can play for 2 hours in front of people. And I feel like you might get the same workout, like, it's like, I don't know if it's just partly the fear of messing up or whatever, but you kind of, I love performing for people. And I think that really, has helped me as a musician and a performer.
Congratulations, man. I listened to some of the stuff on the new album. Really great. Love your band. So congratulations on all the success you've had on both levels.
Thank you so much.
Everybody make sure to check out Tim Kingsbury from Arcade Fire's, a.k.a. we'll call him Sam Patch's new album. Check it out in stores now.